Welcome to NWA Investing Podcast, episode 39. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. We are going to knock out in this 39, 40, 41, and 42. In this next 2-hour session, you'll be getting those episodes consistently. We're going to start trying to knock out these episodes consistently and giving you guys one a week. We see the demand for it, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. I want to start with introducing, we have a new co-host, Brian Wagers, on board.
What's up?
He has come on 2 times already on our podcast, and we are really happy to have him. Brian, for the people that are just now tuning in, can you give them like the 30,000 perspective of you, what you do? I know you're local here as well.
Yeah, Brian Wagers. I'm a current resident of Rogers. I've been in Northwest Arkansas going on 10 years now. So came here for sales, stayed here for family and the area and real estate. I love investing in real estate. Started in single family, quickly moved on to multifamily, small multifamily, large multifamily now. Love NWA and investing, and happy to be on this podcast.
Yeah, Brian's going to be able to provide us with a perspective that Brandon and I don't necessarily have. A lot more commercial based and kind of seeing some bigger macro pictures in the area, as Brandon and I are kind of feet on the ground, like grinding it out with single families and some duplexes and quadplexes and things like that. But we're really happy to have Brian. Thank you for coming on, and we think you're going to be a great addition to the team. Brandon has a starter question. We're going to start trying to do starter questions for us too. The little break the ice type thing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna switch this up a little bit from what we talked about before, but
nice, keep us on our toes.
So if you could own any type of investment property in the world, so let's say a large multifamily, it can be mixed use, it could be mini storage, it could be anything. If you could pick any asset class when it comes to real estate investing, what would you choose if money was not an option?
Brian?
Oh, multifamily all day. It's like, that's a huge question, but depending on what stage of life you are in, like what your goals are. But for me, have a 250 unit apartment complex myself, throw 50% leverage on it and just not have to worry about anything, My ROI wouldn't be extremely high at the 50% leverage, but that thing would be cash flowing, depreciation, taxes would be minimal. Hopefully the son takes it over when he's enough, and if not, sell it.
Yeah, love it.
Brandon?
Yeah, I've always thought about multifamily because people always need a place to live. And so I lean that way, but also, there's the shiny objects of like mini storage and what that business is like, how, I guess if you have property management involved and money's not a problem, then it could be extremely passive with large multifamily. But I think about storage and Americans just have a lot of junk, and I think that business is really interesting. I think you own some storage, don't you?
I have 300 storage units in Poto, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then I've got like a little 100 unit in Waldron, Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funny story. I called Brian on his on that Poto storage one time. This was probably a couple of years ago. You probably don't even remember. But I called the guy you bought it from, and that guy was like, I just sold it to this guy named Brian or whatever. And I was like, oh, I know Brian. So I called you. You ended up sending me the numbers and we chatted about it. But, it was just funny that
both of those I accidentally walked into. They were just, multifamily was a focus, but I got them off market straight to the owner. They were just too hard to pass up. And don't get me wrong, I think storage units, mailbox money, like for sure. There's always it's weird that storage units do well in a recession. It's like you would think that you wouldn't. Yeah. People still want to hold on to their stuff. People might be downsizing and putting their things in there. So for an investment long term, you want it to be as recession proof as possible. The older we get too, but the one thing I don't like about storage, the barrier to entry is low, like to build, and it kind of seems like if I put a storage units up, someone could potentially go build some next. You could say that with any kind of investment, but I think storage units have the lower barrier to entry.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch it up. I mean, my probable answer is multifamily, but I always drive by like a newly built like DR Horton subdivision. I'm just like, what if I just owned all 200 homes and that was the only thing I had? I would be like, I'd be okay with that. Like I don't know, because for me, I have this conversation with clients as well, is the exit strategy for single family is, I think, a little easier. You have a broader pool of people on exit strategy to where, like, if you do want to liquidate that at some day, someone's going to be making an emotional decision on a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot home, as opposed to an apartment complex, strictly numbers. And so maybe in a downturn, I'm more so playing devil's advocate on this, but I think
It's a type of multifamily too.
yeah, it would be like basically 200 unit like apartment building. I mean,
Would you have that on one parcel or parcel at individual parcels?
individual parcels so that I could liquidate easier. And if I was like, let's, out of 100, I'm cash flowing 100,000 a month or whatever. Let's go liquidate that half and, go buy a vacation home and somewhere, at that point, if you own 200 homes outright, I'm just saying, like, you own everything outright.
Bro, this is a dream scenario.
It's a dream scenario. I just drive by and I'm like, man, if I had enough cash to just tell DR Horton to buy me, just build me a neighborhood, something like that. It would be cool.
The built-to-rent community style is becoming more institutional type, like investment, and you see these people gobbling up like 200 homes at a time. We actually made an offer on a 200 unit
Really?
No what?
project in Springdale.
Yeah.
Let's buy a bunch of DR Hortons.
Really? Yeah.
DR Horton build homes. So
I like the idea of, I've only done single family so far, and it's been super easy and nice for me. I always find a tenant. I'm able to interview my tenant. I mean, I've been self-managing too. I wouldn't be able to self-manage at 200 units, but probably get Tyler Casey on it. Shout out Property Management.
Yeah, free sponsor.
Even though they're not a sponsor.
Yeah.
that's the last free sponsor.
Yeah.
But that would be my dream scenario, to be devil's advocate. We're going to, on this episode 39, jump into kind of like a market overview. I think it'd be good to do like a refresher of what's happening in WA. I don't think we've done one in a while. Kind of like a market overview, show you some economic drivers for the area, and then go over some buyer and seller behavior. So, Brandon, can you take us off on our first point of market overview of like what right now is happening in the Northwest Arkansas market that you're seeing real estate wise?
Yeah, so it's just from a residential perspective, and then Brian, you could probably speak a little bit more on the commercial side. But Northwest Arkansas is outpacing national averages. You'll see a lot of the big cities. You also probably can speak to Dallas and some other areas like that. But a lot of the big cities are seeing anywhere between 10 and 20% declines in sales volume from what I've seen, and probably some bigger areas are a little bit higher than that. Just because inventory, I think, and that's my opinion, and there might be some other measures out there, but from what I'm seeing, their inventory has caught up a lot quicker than where our inventory has gotten. And so you're kind of seeing, 10 to 20% declines, whereas Northwest Arkansas, from what I understand, we're slightly outpacing kind of the inflation rate, at least on a sales volume perspective.
You have that data in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me. I just kind of have some notes from looking at that data earlier, but we're, from a closed sales perspective, I was just looking at this right before this, we're right at where we were in 2019 pre-COVID. So closed sales up to November of 2024.
So is it kind of keeping on track with like a pre-COVID type number?
Exactly.
More of a normal economy.
More of a normal economy, and then inventory has kind of begun to catch up to those 2018, 2019 levels as well. Here at Northwest Arkansas.
I think that's a good stat.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then, I mean, on top of that, I think we're still kind of an area where obviously 36 people are moving here per day.
I'd heard that even up to 42 at one point. So
yeah,
maybe we're back down a little bit.
788 homes sold in last month.
Yeah,
so pretty active.
Yeah.
Looks like $715 a square foot increase in price from last year in Bentonville, and then Washington County actually growing a little bit faster at $1672.
Yep, that's interesting. For a while there, it was tracking more Benton County growth than Washington County, but
right.
I have a lot of people calling from out of state, and they're like, Benton County, and it's funny because for a long time the heartbeat of the area was Fayetteville, and it was like, well, Bentonville, people would call me talking about Fayetteville, and they wouldn't be like, "What's Bentonville?" But now it's all Bentonville, Rogers, and the occasional like, "Oh, I heard about Fayetteville as a college town, random college town below Walmart." Is kind of what out of state people think. They're like, Northwest Arkansas is Walmart, and then they're like, "What is Fayetteville?" Oh, yeah, got the college town. But like, there's a lot of great things in Fayetteville. It's more situated in like the mountains ish, has more of a vibey feel. They say keep Fayetteville,
that's a good way to put it.
keep Fayetteville funky.
That's why everybody's moving.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too fun.
But here's those numbers too. I just pulled them up. But we have active residential inventory. So this is November or January to November. So as of right now, November of 2024, we're at 3,575 active residential homes listed, and that's just slightly below where we were at in 2019.
Okay.
And so we're catching up in inventory, and then when it comes to number of closed sales from January to November, we're just right. I mean, 9,700 homes sold in 2019. In 2024, we're just under 9,700 homes. So we're continuing to press forward. People are making moves. People are moving here. Median home price is still well below the rest of the country. I think we're at about $370,000 for the median home value, and then everywhere else national average, and this was from Q3 in the U.S. is about $418,000 the rest of the country. So,
Brian, what are you seeing kind of yourself in the commercial realm in Northwest Arkansas right now?
Yeah. So I guess everyone see it. Austin, Texas. NWI is supposed to be the next Austin, Texas. I think they moved it to 2050, like 1 million population. I saw something that, like, for every 10 people, 7.5 were moving to Benton County versus Washington County, which I thought was interesting. But if you look at it, a lot of the inventory is being built in Benton County too. There's a lot being built here. Yeah. Not as much. Washington County still has things being built. Not so much in Springdale, which I think there's a ton of opportunity there. Fayetteville. I mean, there's opportunity in every sub.
Farmington, Prairie Grove, a lot of building.
I've done a couple hundred units, in Fort Smith, over 500 doors in Northwest Arkansas. Fun fact, I've never bought anything in Fayetteville. I've bought in Springdale, Rogers, Centerton, Fort Smith, kind of skipped over Fayetteville. It's not to say like I lived there for a year. One of my 9 years was in Fayetteville. Yeah, I'm definitely a Benton. Like, I feel like here you hang out where you live and work, and like Benton County people usually hang out. Even now, it's like Rogers people almost stay in Rogers. Like I don't get to Bentonville off the track. Like it's starting to get that way. Like maybe I'll go see the lights or something like that. So it's very localized here, and it's kind of fun to explain it to out of town investors too when they're looking at different markets. It's like. But then you do have the split household situation where someone might be living in between. If the wife works in Fayetteville, husband works in Bentonville, they may live in Johnson or Springdale or something like that. But for me, I mean, I'm just looking at it market by market based. Like I'll invest in Fayetteville, I'll invest in Rogers, I'll invest in Bentonville. I'm not, with multifamily, you can't be too hyper-focused to one little region, kind of have to spread a wide net. I'm already hyper-focus on multifamily, but within multifamily, I'm looking at the different submarkets.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody loves Bentonville. I love Bentonville too. But you have to pay the price because everyone else is looking there too.
Right.
Yes, you do.
Exactly.
What I'm seeing personally, I'm just going to talk from my current client base, is I'm seeing not a lot of single family work right now. It's been really hard pressed to find a single family that like actually makes sense, especially on market.
And you're talking about like a rental or
like as for, I would say, making sense for an investing client for them to come to me and say, "Hey, Zach, I want a single family home." And I go, "Here are 10 options." I'm only maybe able to provide like 3 potential, and like 2 of those I'm just like kind of paper math makes sense. Let's dive into them further. There's not a lot of single family right now this time of year, like December 12th. That makes sense.
And are you talking about rental, or are you talking about short-term rental?
I'm talking about long-term rental type of stuff. And really, we're I did a lot of deals recently in Centerton. The interest rates, I guess, crept up a little bit, making it just the margins are so tight right now. Like, I'm like, hey, if you want a single family long-term rental, and I'm talking to an investor client, you're going to have to be okay with breaking even, because I'm not going to run numbers for you based off this fairy tale scenario that maybe you get $300 a month. You know, rents are saying 2,000 max. I'm going to tell you 2,000. Well, if they're saying 2,000 max, I'm probably going to tell you 1,800.
Right.
I don't want a client to get in there and just be like SOL when they don't get 2,000. So that's what I'm seeing personally, at just like within my sphere. The funny thing is, I've seen a little bit more multifamily that makes sense. You know, shout out Brandon. Brandon's got 4 quadplexes right now on the market that
Hit them up.
I feel makes sense.
Got to get them.
I'm probably going to try to get one under contract tomorrow for one of my clients, and I feel like they make sense. You know, you're going to be cash flowing if you get rents up to market like $1,000 to $1,300 a month. You know, I really do feel like they make sense. So shout out to Brandon. DM us or contact us for further information on that.
I guarantee that, I mean, they probably won't be available, but I would say reach out, you know, like NWA, another thing about it, like these markets, you have to move for good deals. You have to move fast and then start engaging. Sometimes it takes a long time. You know, we're tying up one now that we've been talking to the owner for like a year now, almost a year. We look back at some of the emails and man, this started in January. It's crazy. But that's also why you pay brokers to have those conversations,
Right.
that are a year, 7 years even, you know? So,
Yeah, it's interesting because even just talking to our investors here, but when you see something come on the market, oftentimes it's too late. And you know, like even in the first few days, I think in the first 5 days, I had 37 inquiries on the fourplex that was listed. I mean, obviously it's gone up from there.
And that's the caveat though, that actually in November, 88 average days for all of Northwest Arkansas, it said average was 88 days on market. But that was actually, this time last year, the average days on market was 92. So it's actually down 4 days. So last year, I mean, I guess obviously winter is slower.
Yeah,
but
it is.
You know, I think if something's on market, you know, it's not moving as fast, but the off-market deals, you definitely have to.
Oh, it's like lightning. We're going to end with this question. Are there any major infrastructure projects or developments shaping the area right now? Which, glad, Brian, you're on. You would know more than Brandon and I some stuff. The only thing, I mean, as far as like big multifamily projects go, I'm not super in the know. I do know that because my wife talks about it every day, there's a dang Whole Foods going in Rogers in the Pinnacle Hills area, and she freaking loves that. And I'm helping a commercial client get moved into one of those offices right now too. So that's going to be a really cool area. That's just across from the Cross Church, kind of Pinnacle Hills area, right by the interstate. So I know that's going to be super cool. Also, I mean, some investors literally will just buy where Whole Foods like put their stores, because Whole Foods has a freaking insane like team that goes into the market research part, and so they're doing all the hard work and the groundwork for you. Just buy around Whole Foods
and Starbucks. They're definitely analyzed. Those guys are making millions of dollars of investments, and they're doing market data harder than we would do market data.
Yes,
it's like that. It's usually you follow that, and they're looking at average income, average median home price.
Real quick lightning round, Brandon. Any big multifamily or any big projects coming along here that the public should know about, that you know about?
Not necessarily. I would just haven't been thinking about how is 612 too and the impact of that. More of an infrastructure development happening, but I think it will be very impactful. You're going to see more out in Tawnytown where it will connect to 412. You're already seeing they're talking about creating a downtown Tawnytown, which is interesting.
Yep.
And then it'll kind of go through and connect all the way over to East Springdale, I guess. So it'll be interesting, which I think will help East Springdale. And they continue, like you talked about, I think there's a lot of opportunity and kind of over that direction as well. So
Brian, give us one project that you're seeing.
I like what's going on towards the airport. XNA obviously has $35 million what they're putting into the airport, but there's a lot of new development kind of going that way. That's adding a ton of employees. I mean, one development is hard to say. I mean, you have the Vision area that's right next to the Whole Foods. That's a 300,000 square foot right across from the AMP.
True.
The Luther George Park was really cool. That was added to downtown Springdale. I think downtown Springdale is blowing up. So
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Love it.
All right. That's all we got for episode 39. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. We'll see you on episode 40. Love you guys.
Love you.
Thank you.